Yeah.
That's right. That's such a strange deal.
Good evening. I'm District Secretary Nancy Gamble Hatfield. It's Tuesday, April 1st, 2014, and this is a regular meeting of the Dublin San Ramon Services District Board of Directors. Presiding this evening is President Georgine von Heer Leopold.
Thank you, Nancy. Please stand and join me in the pledge of allegiance. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Roll call. Director Benson.
Here.
Director Howard.
Here.
Vice President Wharton.
Here.
President von Heer Leopold.
Here. Okay, public comment. You're not here to talk, are you, Carl?
Not tonight.
Okay. Reports.
Yes, President von Heer, members of the board, you'll look around the dais tonight, you'll look at, it looks a little sparse here. Given the simple board agenda tonight and the nature of some of the matters, I decided to give the senior managers the evening off and didn't see any need for them to be here. They've been putting in a lot of time and will continue to do so, getting ready for a dry summer here, so it seemed to be a good time to give them an evening off, so I did that. On the issue of staff, I don't know if you've seen this, the February 2014 issue of a magazine called PM Engineering, I think it stands for Project Management Journal, covered the district's Central Dublin Recycled Water Project and prominently featured Jackie Yee. Jackie's one of our associate engineers here at the district, and honored her with a cover shot, so I think that's pretty cool. You know, we're going to surprise her at the next general employees meeting. We're going to have this and kind of Dr. Cooking and Medicine show with on the cover of the Rolling Stone, you know, right there for her. So I think that's pretty cool. So we're going to order a bunch of these and we'll have them around and we'll figure out what to do with them. I thought that was pretty cool.
You probably already noticed, but there's firms that will do a plaque of this cover sheet.
Yeah.
And a plaque for it.
Right. Yeah, that'd be a cool thing. Thank you for reminding me of that. Yeah. A couple of things for your schedule, if you're interested. The Aqua Spring Conference will be held in Monterey, so it's an easy venue to get to. It'll be held Tuesday, May 6th through Friday, May 9th. If you're interested in reservations, let Nancy and I know, and we can get registration as well as lodging reservations for you set. CAS is not having a spring conference. They're going to a little bit different system, but they are having an event in Sacramento Monday, April 28th and 29th. They call it their Public Policy Forum. It's basically an opportunity to meet with local legislators, and the focus is on legislation that's moving through the system right now. Again, if you're interested in that, that would be the 28th and 29th of April on Monday. Let either Nancy or I know, and we'll get the appropriate reservations and registration set up for you. Given the schedule of events that are related to the drought, we're going to talk more about that in the future. I don't think we have a choice but to cancel our April 15th board meeting and instead hold one on April 22nd. And I know you can't make it. If you felt passionate about being here for that board meeting and it was some important decisions, we could push that to the 29th.
No problem. The doctor's recommending that we did not go on the cruise.
Oh, okay. So I'm sorry to hear that, but glad that you're here. Okay, so let's set 422 as the board meeting for
Cancel it.
for the second meeting.
Cancel
the
the
15th. Yeah. I don't know for you, Georgine, whether that's a good thing or a bad thing.
It's a good thing. One less thing to worry about that day.
Now, with regard to the first board meeting in May, Aqua is having their meeting, as I mentioned, from May 6th, which is a Tuesday, the night of our first board meeting through the 9th. I have to be at the Aqua conference on Tuesday, given a couple of committees I'm on. In the past, when we've faced with this situation, we've held a special board meeting on Monday instead on May 5th. And it's your call, but it would certainly accommodate my schedule. And I would really like to be here for that meeting because we're going to be talking about if the drought doesn't get drought action so carry over that way. We'll also be talking about budget and strategic planning, so I'd like to be here for that meeting. So if you can accommodate that, that'd be wonderful.
It's a great idea.
Yep.
Okay.
Let me make that.
Sure, okay, great. And then in terms of correspondence to the board, in front of you, I believe, is a letter of March 22nd from Dave Requa, a name you'll recognize, to the board of directors regarding the water reuse award he recently received for his Lifetime Achievement Award. It was a nice letter, so glad to hear from Dave. He dropped by the office last week and seems to be doing fine. So, and then I want to talk about the latest water supply info in just a minute. Some of the data is starting to come together. We don't have an absolutely clear picture, but I think what's going to happen is rapidly emerging what we're going to have to do, and we'll talk about that a little bit. The last thing I'd note is that the under committee reports, anytime there's a liaison meeting, it takes a little bit longer than usual for us to pull the minutes together because we got coordinated with a number of agencies. So the Tri-Valley Water Liaison meeting, which was held over at Pleasanton's office, it involved Pleasanton, Livermore, DSRSD, and Zone 7. That was last week. Those minutes are not finished yet, so it's just for the record. We'll present them to you when they are finished. So what I'd like to do, if I can get through this pretty quickly, it's the same format you've seen before, but a very quick rundown of the state of the water supply as of about, data I could gather as of about 3 o'clock this afternoon. There we go. This preliminary data, the data is on the website, but they basically sort of finalize it. The data is tentative for about a week after it gets posted. It becomes sort of final about a week afterwards. So this is tentative data. We're early in the month in April, but it's not going to change significantly. So in terms of precipitation, again, same information as before. We now have April, March data completed, and basically the winter this year through April 1st is slightly better than half of average for the year. I mean, that's better, as you can see, this blue line than what it was running back. In February here. It's come up, but we're still less than half of that. We're a little bit better than half of average for the year. This is shaping up to be it's going to either be the 5th, 6th, or 7th driest year in California history. This is on the heels of the driest year last year. So, it's better than it was in January, but still not a very good picture in terms of precipitation. Snowfall, the new information there is the snow surveys were conducted today. That's the final snow survey of the year. 23% of the normal snowpack in the northern Sierra is where we get our water source from. 32% of normal statewide. Pretty bleak picture. The storms are relatively warm, so there's more rain than snowfall, basically. Long-term forecast. At this point of year, this doesn't mean too much because the rainy season is essentially over. The 30-day forecast is about the same. The 90-day forecast, we're moving into another projected dry period, below average rainfall for the next 90 days. As I said, that doesn't mean too much because there's not much rain that falls after about April 30th. Lake Oroville storage came up a little bit in terms of volume, but in terms of percent of normal, it's still only about 64% of normal. The lake should be going up this year, and it is going up, but it hasn't moved much from that 64% of normal. And again, the key here is we can't get below. That's essentially the bottom of the lake right now. That's the 800,000 acre feet that can't be accessed because of a couple of valves that are not working at the bottom of the dam. Allocations, we will hear a near final allocation from the Department of Water Resources sometimes later this week, first part of next week. Nobody is expecting it to be anything other than zero at this point in time. The final will come out in accordance with all the contracts after May 1st. Policy level actions taken, that's just a regurgitation of what has happened already. No change with regard to local water agency actions as of this moment in time. Number of regional agency actions on a number of regional agencies. You'll see the numbers every place from 10 to upwards of 25%. I think a couple of key things. Alameda County Water District went to mandatory use restrictions, as did Santa Clara Valley Water District. So upcoming events. Today was this final snow survey results. We have those in. Sometimes later this week, first part of the following week, DWR will give us our essentially final allocation. Again, to emphasize, nobody expects anything other than zero. Word is that there'll be a revised emergency proclamation from the governor. You'll recall back in January, he asked for 20% on a voluntary basis. Tons of rumors are going around right now. everything from statewide mandatory cutbacks, to numbers, I've heard numbers upwards of 40 to 45% curtailments statewide. Then that'll set the stage when the governor comes out with that Zone 7 at the regular meeting on April 16th. We'll consider revising their drop declaration to conform with the actions the governor is calling for, which dovetails real nicely with the schedule we now have for our board meeting. We'll meet the following Tuesday after that, consider our declaration. The other retailers are all lined up, within a week or two after that to do something similar. So by May 1st, we will know what we're going to be dealing with essentially, in terms of moving forward to the summer, and we'll be moving into the implementation phase. So things we're going to be looking at, I'm going to ask you to consider on April 22nd, revising the district's emergency declaration, again, to conform to whatever the governor might come out with in Zone 7. Establishing a drought water stage. Let me preface that by saying I have been saying stage 2. I'm not sure right now, as I sit here, stage 2 is going to be enough. We may be looking at a higher stage. We've drafted an affordability program which will temper the economic impact on some of the Tier 1 customers, the low water using customers. I think you'll be pleased, and hopefully the customers will with that. I think we're going to have to look at several mandatory conservation actions, a lot of debate going on among staff as to what exactly those will be, what we're going to recommend to you. And then, of course, when you talk about mandatory actions, those don't really mean anything unless there's some enforcement provisions associated with those. And then perhaps a few other actions that's appropriate there. So that's what you're going to be looking at on April 22nd. Very important board meeting. It's probably one of the most important board meetings I think we will have, probably since the, back in 2009 during the middle of the recession, when we were wrestling with a lot of very important economic issues. That's about it for my report. Somebody picked up this. I thought it was kind of cute. You gotta, it's serious, but somehow it helps a little bit if you can laugh at yourself.
I handle our water waste line, and I'm getting all sorts of calls from anonymous people.
So that's about all I have for the, I'd be glad to answer any questions. Just again, don't run with some of this data. It's preliminary right now, but finalize the data, another half hour. And we'll have the final data at that time.
You'll have to send that to us so we can forward it on.
Yeah.
Okay. I guess we'll move on to item 7, approval of the minutes of March 18th.
Move for approval. Second.
It's been moved and seconded that the minutes of March 18th be approved. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion carried. Item 8 is the consent calendar. We will have a moving item for discussion.
I'll move to approve the consent calendar of items A, B, C, D, and E.
I'll second.
It's been moved and seconded that we approve the items on the consent calendar A8 through 8E. All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Motion unanimously carried. There's no board business tonight, so let's start with Pat. Have anything for the board?
Let's see, Leslie has pool covers on sale. So I ran down and I bought one. It's one of those bubble, they claim they save quite a bit of evaporation. Yeah, so they're a pain in the neck, but in this year it'll be good. But other than that,
Nothing for me.
Dawn.
I went to the science fair that was for Contra Costa County, and that was truly amazing. We gave out some great awards for some projects that from the middle school to the high school, and they had some great filtration projects. It was truly amazing. There was 297 projects and 384 kids. And it was very well attended, and we gave away some really, I represented all the water agencies in Contra Costa County, but it was a real treat, and it was really fun. Chevron was there, a lot of good programs.
Okay. Well, I went to the special districts meeting dinner meeting last Thursday night, and the guest speaker was a man by the name of Kish Rajan. He's the director of the Governor's Office of Business and Economic Development, and essentially that's the old Commerce Department. And he was really a good speaker. He got you actually listening to the statistics. California, he says, has seen many improvements. We're still the 8th largest economy. We've recovered 97% of the 2008-2009 job losses, which I thought was really amazing. The problem that we have, and something I'm sure we all suspected, is that in the Bay Area and the LA area, unemployment's dropped to 6, 7, 8%. But in San Bernardino, Imperial County, Riverside County, San Joaquin County, they're all up at 25%. So even though it averages out to where we look good, it's really not still in a lot of places. And so his department's working on incentives for businesses, and I was really surprised. He talked about Tesla, and I don't know if he talked about it or I read it, but anyway, Tesla wanted to move out of California to build their batteries. And his department sat down with him and said, you know, we can find you places, we'll give you some great incentives, we'll work with the local people, and they ended up opening 4 or 5 places here in California to build the batteries. So this department is trying really hard at the large level. Of course, the smaller level, they recognize that the smaller businesses still struggle with all the regulatory issues in our state. But they're coming out with a new state credit, which this used to be probably about 3 or 4 years ago. You could get a credit for the sales tax you paid. You were a manufacturing firm, and it was done by the SIC code as to whether or not you qualified. If you qualified within the certain range in the SIC code, you got it. But you got a refund or a credit on your income tax for the sales tax that you gave the state of California. And, you know, if you're someone that's buying $300,000 worth of manufacturing equipment, that's a huge chunk. We used it a lot, and they're bringing it back. So, but it was a good meeting. And then yesterday I attended the dedication of the Pete Snyder BART Plaza at the BART station. And it was a really nice ceremony. There was probably 75 of us, 7,500, right? Of us in attendance, and he had most of his family. One of his sons is taking a job in LA, so he wasn't there, but sons and grandchildren and great-grandchildren. And of course, he's always so eloquent. He stands up and can speak to any issue, but he was chiding both Tim and Eric and Scott Haggerty, because, you know, he predates them on anything. But it's a very good, you get a chance when you're walking out from the Dublin side at that BART station, look straight ahead, and the new apartments say Dublin Station, and the plaque is on the end of that great big cement thing that says Dublin Station. Other than that, I don't have anything else to add. So we will go to closed session. At this time, the board is going into closed session for one of the items that's listed on the agenda. While this board meeting will continue, the broadcast will be stopped at this time because it is anticipated there will be no report from closed session. If there is, it will be announced at the open session at the end of the board meeting. If you're interested in what was reported out, if anything was made, you can contact District Secretary Nancy Hatfield during regular business hours, and she'll give you that information. Thank you very much.